right, so that will be ready for another batch in a second. So I'm gonna put on my spike shoes. Yes, sir. Taking that, dragging that hot back a little bit. That's all I'm doing. I'm connecting. I'm going as quickly as I can from wet edge to wet edge to connect my material. Really? So it's another surface.
Roughly the coverage area up there.
What's that?
The coverage area.
Thank you for asking. Let me get this out.
What's the coverage
So one bag, now I'm going pretty fast. I'm getting it down, getting it where I need to be. And I'm giving myself, see, I can walk right up in this now because I had to put spikes on. And straighten that out, staying close to the wall. Somebody can begin to mix the second batch. I apologize. I'm waiting to stand. So like 3/8 of an inch.
What about at a half inch?
At a half inch, 12. So you notice how I'm keeping the pitch of this tool fairly flat, okay? So that I can smooth it off as best possible for stamping. At any time, I want to walk all the way back up in it. I can walk all the way back up in it and reach out. And see, we got a couple bubbles from little pinholes, but you're going to stamp all that out. You know, I'm not putting a huge amount of pressure on this, guys. I'm just putting the amount of pressure to close it up. And now I can bring the next two bags and then the last bag, and that's good to finish this off. everything out of it. Probably a bad idea. I'll be picking up the excess from over there. Huh?
It worked right
Did
out.
I calibrate that out by eye or what?
Perfect.
Ah. Alright. All I'm doing is making sure I don't go off the front side. Just gonna go back. I'm gonna fix all that with a pull trowel. Alright, so I've got all my material out. So we can clean that. Let me get that in some water. Oh, there's something on the back of that. And as you can see, we do have some encapsulation of pinholes, and that's absolutely fine. Don't overthink it. Don't get apprehensive about it. Just trust your product. Stamp it. And all those will stamp right up. Notice how I'm keeping that pitch just as flat as I possibly can. Close off any of the surface area. I know my weather stripping is a ½ inch tall. I'm not making these edges perfect because I want to show you what you might do if you have imperfect edges and using a pull trowel or something of that sort. Nobody's hurt over there, right? And that took us no time to get out.
Now, if you're good with a Fresno or something like that, would
Yep.
that be
Absolutely
another-
fine to use.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up. The biggest thing you don't want to use is a bull float.
magnesium?
I don't mind magnesium.
Oh,
Oh, I thought the bull float was magnesium, but not always.
No, I don't mind magnesium, but it's the weight of the particular edge.
Gotcha.
And that's all I'm doing. Now, the one thing I'm going to do here in a second is because I don't want to have a big, sharp lip for these individuals as they're rolling their forklifts and pallet jacks over top of this. We're going to take and bevel this in all the way. But I had that one. I left that right there so that if you wanted to come out, that to me is texture. That to me I'd never touch. Okay? But if it's bigger than that and you say, oh, well, okay, so get out there. Smooth, shallow pitches and move when you're coming off. Always move when you're coming off. You see how it closes the pores?
You're not stopping.
But you can have closed, some open closed. That gives it really good character to the stones that you're creating for your flagstone. Okay? So the biggest things that we have to do, I got to make sure that these guys can get out. So I'm making sure that I'm all the way around the apparatus that's fastened to the actual surface so that they can actually get around the tape and get to it. Because if they can't get to it, then that pole never, ever comes out of that actual surface area. And we don't want that to happen. Because then they're yelling at me. All right, so that should be perfect where they can come out. Now I just need to do this edge. Extra. So I'm just going along this edge, making sure that I have enough material all the way out to the actual edge so that I can slice it off at the proper time. This would be like if you had the finalization of your job and you're finishing it up. And I'm not going to cut this away until after we stamp. Because it won't be until after we stamp and we put that pressure on it that all of the material has been pushed out far enough to slice it and have a nice, really good edge. I could have weather stripped this side, but I didn't want to because I wanted to be able to show what it would be like if you had to cut, even though we're going to do it on the white one as well. Concrete edger. Okay. Right? All I'm doing is giving it a little bit of a ramp. And then wherever I'm transitioning to, I make sure that I come out far enough with enough pitch to just kind of transition into the middle of the concrete. So there's no need to do, you don't have a lot of large aggregate to work a concrete edger within, right? So we have to use a tool like this to be able to come through. And I went a little bit too far on that one. Just kind of bevel it, come over the top, flatten it out. Bevel it, come over the top, flatten it out. That way they don't have a sharp lip that their wheels run into. So that's all you're doing. You're just transitioning it into the center part, and then that'll stamp. When you stamp it, it's going to push out a little bit, but you'll still have that bevel. Oh, and by the way, that's ready to stamp. So if I wanted to stamp it by hand, I could stamp it by hand right now. All you do is just barely touch it lightly to see if it'll come off on your thumb. And if it doesn't come off on your thumb, then it's definitely not coming off on your stamps. Oh! I could have bordered this out with some wood. Yeah, I think we'll might do that bottom edge. Yeah, I think we'll. Yeah, grab that wood stamp. Border around it. You ready? So pick your, right here's probably a good location to go in. And then all you're going to do is kind of, you're going to set it here, use the second, now put your hands in the middle. There you go. Now here's the other one. This is fun. All right, I'm going to retrowel this back out.
That's why I call it bubble gum.
Yep, can you smell the bubblegum flavor? That doesn't mean to drink it. And I have. Not on purpose. So you notice I just missed it and I missed it. Straight down. Rub. Got a little bit of debris on there.
That's what you meant by hand stamp.
That's it, man. Just lightly. Boom. Boom. No kissing, no material, no nothing. He's good. Go for it. Overlap here. All right. And you don't have to, you can just let it go nice and easy. And the biggest thing is, like he's doing, but I don't believe he is, you don't want to lean over on one hand and put that weight. All you're doing is rubbing it. You're not creating too much of a gentle giant. That's it.
So how we do in the middle? We can't reach it.
Oh, we're going to walk out. I just want to show you can stand it.
We can walk on this?
Not yet.
Oh, eventually.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
We can walk this entire thing, but what's the fun in waiting for that?
Okay.
Now you work your hands to the middle and straight up in the air. Boom. Boom. You can even go heavier. Look. Let him put his down and he'll flip yours. Are you going to take it up? You can take it up. Okay. You're done. Boom. You can even go even a little bit more aggressive. Go for it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was looking for
Where do you want to go?
No. Oh, we missed that part.
There you go. You can. Somebody else? We might as well go around this thing.
In the mix.
But it definitely is doable. I really love these stamps. It really is. I'll fix that. I'll fix that. We don't go through a class without
He
stepping
left
in.
his own stamp.
I would have done it too. I'd have definitely done it. If it wasn't him, it would have been me. Yeah. Absolutely.
And the biggest thing is don't even ever overthink where you're going to put it. Go to an area, put it right down, start stamping, because you can always overlap. You know, that's the great thing for me about what our main forte is with hand carving, because we mostly use skins in our world. So it's easy stamping, so you can get to the more intricate. You're good? Yeah, don't. Perfect. Perfect. Boom. Now flip, flip, flip. There you go. Boom.
So you just sit there and you went right over it, no big.
How many pounds? I had mix on there. Alright. You're good? Perfect. And so what he's going to do is, you snap that, move here, move there, off. Well, that's it. You can be more, hey, you can be a little bit more. There you go. Dance a little bit. Show some skills. Now we're going to use my weight. I'm not telling you what it is. We're going to use my weight.
You just have to say it's more than 120.
Yeah, just a little bit. Notice how I'm getting all my edges. I'm getting everything down in there. Oh yeah, who did that? Is that for the dancing part?
Juba time.
Dude, you got cracks in it, like
Asian lumber?
yeah, Asian number, yeah.
Like barnwood.
Yeah, yeah.
You should do a socket too.
3/4 inch socket.
I thought it was somebody else. I looked out the way.
That's Bruce. That's what I'm here for. That's Bruce. So you notice once I break through, there's plenty of depth there. And when that hardens, and I'm not done because this is going to look really cool. When that hardens, it'll be hard as nails.
I gotta ask, freeze thaw.
No, not a problem at all.
Not a problem.
No, sir.
Freeze thaw. How did they do? Oh, okay, freezing.
Yeah. I like that up at Lake Raleigh. They just cleared up last week and go up there. Didn't get there until last week. They won't let you find the road. First start was 5.5 feet. Front door was grabbing.
All right. So,
No, it's been a long run. Balance is still pretty high.
let that'll room off.
Dug it out. They said June. That all depends on weather.
And then now, and I love how I have different music to do.
How do you do the leg pattern? I mean, the leg holds, Sim. How do you do it?
Socket.
A socket.
Yeah.
But I may not spray the entire tile.
Like, I know some of those tiles you need to color, but now you're going to have to create variations throughout the rock.
Correct.
Or tiles. Or tiles.
I was here without me. That's my word. That's how good it looks. It's better than rocks.
These more burgers for you.
And don't buy the 1 gallon. I get the 1 gallon for class because they're cheaper. Get the 2 gallon. You'll be able to stand up a little longer. This wand for a 1 gallon is about 6 inches shorter than the wand for a 2 gallon. You can stand upright.
It's a good company when the president grabs a broom.
Obviously, I'm not very good at it. I swept dirt back up on.